They're dead.
You've heard the stories of Harrenhal, Your Grace.
Hi, this is Simon Candlish. Why did Larys Strong kill his father and brother in House of the Dragon? Explained. The world of Game of Thrones is not unfamiliar with kinslaying. King Maegor, the Cruel, earned that black distinction when he slew his nephew Aegon in the battle beneath the God's Eye. Bloodraven became one multiple times over, directly and indirectly, during his wars against House Blackfire. Tyrion Lannister famously shot his father Tywin with Joffrey's crossbow to confirm that he did not in the end excrete gold. And now, House of the Dragon has given us another confirmed case of kinslaying, and it's a 2-for-1 bonus because Larys Strong just took out his dad and brother, which begs the question, why did he do it? The answer seems obvious to the viewing audience, but in the books, there's actually no guarantee that he even did it. Larys is one of 4 major suspects, and the mystery of the burning of Harrenhal was never quite resolved. So why did Larys Strong kill his father and brother in fire and blood? We're going to try and explain just that. And spoiler warning, because there will be a lot of those in this video, before we go on to our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. He's one of 4 viable suspects. Larys Strong's involvement in Fire and Blood. As we mentioned in the intro, Larys Strong is but one suspect, and that's because the burning of Harrenhal occurs after an important confrontation in the books. The one between Prince Aemond and his nephews, Jace, Luke, and Joff. This confirmation is something we will see in the next episode, but in the books it occurs before Sir Harwin and Lord Lionel pass away, and it is treated as the direct cause of their death, because after the burning of Harrenhal, 4 names are brought up with respect to its perpetrators, with the castle's curse being accounted for as a baseline reason. The first is Lord Corlys Velaryon, the second is Prince Daemon Targaryen, the third is King Viserys, and the fourth is Lord Larys Strong. Each of them have a strong argument in favour and against, and you should check out our investigation of this very same mystery to know more about them. But we'll be focusing on Larys for this video, and his reasons seemed rather straightforward. He would become Lord of Harrenhal if he took out Lionel and Harwin. Lord Lionel Strong had 3 marriages, and it is known that Harwin was either born from his first wife or was his eldest child, regardless of marriage. This made him Lionel's heir and the future Lord of Harrenhal. Black Harren's castle might have been a folly, but its lands and incomes were substantial, and its lord would immediately count himself among the greatest lords of the realm upon taking his seat. His deformity did him no favours either, as in Westerosi society, cripples, bastards, and broken things were treated with hostility in general, and suspicion was their mother's milk. We don't know if Larys actually pulled it off in the books, simply because later in the story he would turn his cloak on the very king he had allegedly killed his own blood for. And historians would later claim that Larys wasn't so much pro-Aegon as he was anti-Rhaenyra during the Dance of the Dragons. However, officially speaking, Larys Strong's involvement in the burning of Harrenhal in 120 AC was never confirmed, though he did come out of it Lord Harrenhal and was later raised to the post of Master of Whisperers in addition to Lord Confessor, so you can see why fingers were being pointed at him. House of the Dragon not only resolves this mystery, but also gives us the answer we are asking in this question, and it's deeply unsettling. He's a sadistic, an ambitious man who goes through life unencumbered. Why Larys Strong killed his father and brother when Larys Strong was introduced in episode 3. You wouldn't have thought that he could be capable of such an act. The guy dragged his club foot all the way to where the ladies were talking and asked if he could join them. But if you were paying close attention to his face, you'd see why he chose that spot. In Fire and Blood, Lord Larys Strong is consistently described as being a thoroughly observant man who spoke rarely and only when it was of the utmost importance. House of the Dragon emphasizes this by having him say that when one is not invited to speak, one instead learns to observe. And after spending 10 years observing the residents of the Red Keep, from hallways visible and hidden, he manages to build up enough trust to become one of the Queen's only confidants in the capital. When Larys Strong approaches Alicent in episode 5 and plants a seed of doubt in her head as to Rhaenyra's virtue and truthfulness, you can see manipulation intent clear as day on his face. And then again, when Alicent shows up to the wedding feast in all green regalia, he makes it a point to point out to his brother that Old Town calls its banners to war by lighting the High Tower's beacon fires green. He has been working towards undermining Rhaenyra's position as heir, not just because he wants to be powerful, which he does, but also because in a twisted way, Larys is a reflection of his own father. Lord Lionel Strong is a man who is seen as a brute, but known as one of the best politicians and Lord Justiciars the Seven Kingdoms had ever seen. His devotion to the law was absolute, and he once even suggested that Viserys kill his brother Daemon for high treason, and was only dissuaded by the sin of kinslaying that would taint his king's reign should he have gone through with this. But when justice and people that were not family were involved, it was easy to be impartial and objective. When his own son Harwin committed acts worthy of getting him killed, Lionel turned a blind eye for nearly 10 years, at least in the show. This appears to have pricked at Larry's sense of fair play. Not that that's a high bar to clear, and he's actively working against Lionel and Harwin in an attempt to get them out of his way. After giving Queen Alicent information that confirmed to her that Rhaenyra was lying when she said her maidenhead was intact, Larys became her go-to guy for information on the Red Keep's happenings and rant sessions. For 10 years, the Clubfoot built his network of spies in the fortress the Dragon Lords built and kept tabs on every man, woman and child who traversed its halls. When Rhaenyra gave birth to his brother's third bastard, he was sure that his morally upstanding father could no longer hide the shame Harwin had brought upon their house and would either resign or be executed for hiding treasonous behaviour from the King of Westeros. When Alicent brings up her audience with Lionel in Viserys' chambers, Larry notes his father's honour had always hung about his esteemed neck like a manacle, but he is clearly disturbed when he finds out that Lionel did everything he predicted he would do, except for confessing to the crime itself. Alicent even tried to goad him into telling Rhaenyra the truth about his grandchildren, but Lionel stood his ground for the love he bore his son and did not betray him. Viserys instead chose to allow him to continue in his post and install Harwin as his son and heir by returning to Harrenhal for a time. Larys was stumped by this and called the king's blindness a willful one, as Alicent kept ranting about wanting powerful friends who would be partial to her and missing her father Otto Hightower. The gleam in Larry's eyes when he realizes the opportunity he has in front of him is as bright as it is evil. He rounds up prisoners from the black cells, where he presumably already works as Lord Confessor, and gives them freedom for a small price: their tongues. Larys has 3 men turned into mutes and outfitted with clothes and a brooch that reflects their loyalties lied with him. He sends them to his father's seat and has them burnt down, both the current and future lords of Harrenhal, within their bedchambers, instantly becoming the Lord of Harrenhal and one of the Queen's chief political allies. But it's the monologue he delivers as his father and brother are dying that really tells you why he killed them in the first place. In that monologue, Larys calls the very concept of having children a folly and a futility. He says that throughout them, we imagine we will live on forever, but end up sacrificing what we shouldn't, not for the love we bear them. Clearly referencing Lionel's decision to ignore his son's treason and give up his honour in exchange for Harwin's life. He calls love a downfall and says it's best to go through life unencumbered if you ask him. All this he says to Queen Alicent Hightower, who stares at him in horror in what he has done, just because she said she wanted someone to do something about the Harwin is Rhaenyra's baby daddy situation. Larys went out and killed said baby daddy and his own daddy to prove his worth as a friend. Larys is entirely unbothered by her emotional hysterics, however, and even gives her a derisive eye roll when she says she didn't ask him for this, as if to say, I know, what will you do about it? He brings up Alicent writing to Otto in the wake of this horrible tragedy and engineering his comeback, which is what he was seemingly angling towards all this while, and is supremely confident, overconfident some would say, that he would be rewarded for his service. That is where we leave the Queen and the Clubfoot. And after digesting every piece of information we have on this situation, we can only classify Larry's killing of his father and brother a stone-cold political chess move designed to ensure his own rise in the political system of Westeros. There are many kinds of power in this world, but two are more recognizable than most: direct power that is displayed through strength, and indirect power that is displayed through influence. In episode 6, we saw Larys wield the latter kind of power with skill that would make Varys and Littlefinger feel proud and humbled at the same time. It's clear that Larys is a bit of a sociopath, and he does not have the same kind of emotion towards his brother Harwin that he does for Larys. Harwin would go to war for him, but Larys would only inform him of his objective mistakes. That's the relationship they had, and for all of Lionel's preaching about honor and doing the right thing, when the time came for him to follow his own advice, he backed out of it for love. So Larys decided if the Queen thought she did not have friends at court, he would prove it to her by taking out two of her biggest political headaches. In one foul swoop, he not only ensured Otto's comeback as Hand of the King, but also opened up the avenues for relations soaring between Rhaenyra and Alicent's children. As without Harwin to even out the stakes, who will protect Jace, Luke and Joff from Kristen Cole's bullying? And the way that Larys looked at Alicent as if she was Jon Snow when she said she did not want him to do what he had done suggests that he already knows what's coming his way. From the trailers we've already seen for episode 7, Larys Strong is present for Laena Valerian's funeral. Usually, a courtier would not be present for such an occasion unless he was also on the small council, so we can deduce from this that when Otto returns, he will reward Larys with the post of Master of Whisperers for this faithful service to the crown. Lord Larys Strong did kill his father and brother in House of the Dragon, but it wasn't simply for the reasons of inheritance, as Fire and Blood would have you believe. He did it to further his status in the realm and accumulate as much power he possibly could without directly involving himself in a fight. In short, he wanted to become the puppeteer who controlled all the strings, and it looks like Alicent has handed the strings over to him. It'll be interesting to see where he goes from here, because it definitely won't be any place nice.
It is said to be a cursed place, that it passes judgment on all who pass beneath its gates.
Lord Larys Strong's killing of his father and brother just goes to show that blood may run thicker than water, but that doesn't matter to a bloodless freak. And that's exactly who Larys is. The only character that has been openly fond of things like mutilation, kingslaying, and basically committing every earthly abomination imaginable is Euron Greyjoy. The one from the books, not the hack pirate we saw in seasons 7 and 8. Euron Greyjoy in A Song of Ice and Fire is the definition of an infidel, and his existence is an affront to any living god that believed in a shred of mortality. That is the same kind of emotion that Larys Strong evokes from us. He doesn't care about anything but his own position in the world, and is willing to do anything to secure it, including killing his father. He is a mix of Tyrion, Euron, Varys and Littlefinger, and if that isn't the most terrifying man you can imagine meeting, then we'll be happy to buy you a new dictionary, friends, because clearly yours is outdated as hell. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.
It's built in hubris by Harren the Black as a monument to his own greatness. Blood mixed into the mortar.